as you know right now, the Supreme Court says, go ahead, bet. Have at it. Bet on anything. Bet on whether Charlie Gasparino will have yet another update in the next hour that will break news. I can guarantee you that's an easy one. He will. But the read on what that means for you from Genesco Sports Enterprises CEO John Tatum, and what that could mean, by the way, in your state, because that's going to get to be a very, very easy way for states now all of a sudden to get pushing the kind of things they want to do. All right, John, it's very good to have you.
Great to be with you, Neil.
What are we looking at here? My first thought, I know about the implications for people who bet and all of that, but my immediate interest was seeing what's happening in my home state of New Jersey. This was first pursued by Chris Christie because it would raise a lot of money. Now, nationally, we're told this represents about $150 billion a year in betting going on. Some say that's a conservative estimate. If you tax that in New Jersey alone, I mean, that while it's not all in New Jersey, you could get a lot of change from that. What do you think this is going?
Well, I think it's great. Yesterday was a great day for not only for the economy overall. If you look at the gaming stocks, they were all up, but just for the sports industry across the board. As you mentioned, Governor Christie, he accomplished a lot of great things for the state of New Jersey, but this may be his walk-off grand slam home run, because now you're going to reinvigorate Monmouth Park. You're going to reinvigorate all the television executives. I'm sure Les Moonves is ecstatic today, because ratings on TV sports are going to go up. If not, this will help stabilize them. And I think you've opened up a whole new ecosystem and opportunity with this ruling yesterday. So it was a great day for the sports business.
So you don't think it would hurt? Obviously, to your point, a lot of casino-related stocks, virtually anything that has the remote connection with this has been benefiting. Normally, that tells me then that there are problems with that. They all can't be winners in this.
Well, I mean, Neil, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this has been a industry that, you know, estimates are $150 billion, as you mentioned, offshore. But I've seen some reports that there could be as much as $500 billion that is illegally wagered offshore. And when you think about events like March Madness, most recently, there was an estimate that almost $10 billion was wagered on March Madness. The Super Bowl, this past Super Bowl in Minneapolis, was almost $5 billion wagered. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to bring that back into the light. You're going to legalize it. You're going to regulate it. Certainly, the government, state governments, potentially federal government will tax it. That will also help generate revenue to police the industry, so we don't have any kind of bad characters. And I think it's going to reinvigorate a lot of.
You don't think it's going to be?
Park.
You don't think it's going to be like it was with tobacco stocks that benefited, you know, were thought to be hurt originally when we were going to raise taxes on them and all, and cities, states depended on that revenue. But it got so high that it got to be a shrinking pool. You don't think the same could apply here, and that people will seek out offshore locales for this stuff to avoid that?
Well, Neil, that's a great point, and certainly Ronald Reagan said it best, right? His view of the economy. I mean, government, if it moves, tax it. If it moves too fast, regulate it, and if it doesn't move, stimulate it. So I think Orrin Hatch announced he's already working on legislation. I'm sure he got his feelings hurt because you know, he was part of the PASPA 1992 legislation. But I think that, you know, bringing this $150 billion, $500 billion, whatever the number is, bringing it back into the light, making it legal, I think it's going to be a win for a lot of people and a lot of different industries. And I think there are progressive people out there. Commissioner Silver, Adam Silver at the NBA, has been a leading voice.
Both parties are united on the tempting, you know, kettle of cash that's just hit them in the face. So they are planning to do stuff. John, it's always fun. Thank you very much, my friend.
Great to see you, Neil.
Now the question is this: can they make it any easier to gamble on sports? Because I'm a very small time player, very small time. But it's so unbelievably easy now that for me personally, I almost don't even want it to be legal. I wonder what they're up to be honest with you. So I noticed that the two elements that were not in favor of this legal action were the NCAA as well as NFL, and those are actually the two easiest to win on. Those are the two ones where you actually have a chance to beat the house, as it were, to some degree. Then the ones that were for it in the NBA, it's almost impossible to win with the NBA and Major League Baseball. I'll never be able to figure that out. You know, the NBA, these players are undertaking a very intense aerobic workout, and they do it 82 times a year, and they just don't bring it every night. It's a little easier in the playoffs, but you see wild swings in the playoffs also. The only thing that you can really do in the NBA is maybe pick who wins the series in the playoffs. So the NBA knows they're going to make a ton of money off of this, because anyone betting on they're not going to stand a chance. So as far as how easy it is now, okay, I use Bovada. I've used Bovada for a long time, and what you do is you get a debit card. Actually, you can use. I've noticed I haven't had issues with my bank even. But I was always able to use a debit card. It would work sometimes it wouldn't. And most recently I tried to, or I did make a couple of deposits with my bank card, my debit card issued by my bank, and that went through. So it couldn't be any easier. The only issue is payouts. In the past, they would write you a check, and it would take... could take like 3 weeks for you to get that check. One time it even took like 3 months. I even forgot about it. All of a sudden I got this check in the mail. It was only $10. I was actually testing if they would even make the payment. They did. But I haven't had an issue like that since. But you know, it couldn't be easier, other than the fact that it takes a long time to get a payout. So I would like to see what happens here. Are you going to be able to just walk into a 7-Eleven and make a bet? Is it specific, or will there be gambling parlors that you go into, or will it be online? You have to do it online. And is it going to take forever to get the payout? That's the only thing they can really improve, is the payout system. I'm for it if you know, you can get your payouts quicker, because that is very, very important. And you know, now you have Bitcoin, and you have to jump through a couple of hoops with Bitcoin, but that's pretty easy also. Once you figure it out, doing it via your Bitcoin wallet is fairly easy. So this is very interesting. We'll see what happens. That's it. I appreciate you. Thanks.